What's going on, everybody? Sean Pierce Johnson here with this week's edition of Stompbox Saturday, and this week we're taking a look at Build Your Own Clone, BYOC. If you've never gotten a chance to check out their website, do yourself a favor and check that out as soon as you're done watching this video, of course. If you're not familiar with Build Your Own Clone, what they do is put together kits of parts and circuit boards and enclosures based on classic and modern classic effects. You can build everything from an old school fuzz face or Ross style compressor to a graphic EQ, a Boss slow gear clone, even just some of the craziest tap tempo digital delays, and even an amplifier. It's really cool. My experience with them has been a little bit hit or miss. Some of the kits I've built work great and I love them, but some of the other ones, well, they're a little bit more than my rudimentary knowledge of electronics can handle. So I don't know exactly why they don't work, but I hope to be able to figure them out someday. Of the kits I've built, I have some of my favorites, and we're going to take a look at some of those today. First up on the docket, my flux capacitor. Yes, that's right, I call it the flux capacitor. It's basically the ABY Switch kit that is probably one of the most bonehead simple kits that BYOC has available on their website. Pretty sure a child could put this together. But basically what it is, it's two true bypass loopers that you switch between with the left foot switch, and the right foot switch is your master bypass. But the cool thing is, with all the inputs and outputs on the back, you can route to multiple amplifiers. You could have one loop be set up as a preset for a combination of different stomp boxes, or the one loop could definitely add on true bypass to a vintage style pedal that doesn't have true bypass, much like a fuzz face or any number of old Electro-Harmonix pedals. Speaking of fuzz face, that also happens to be one of my favorite kits that I've built, and we're going to check that out right now. You are listening to the Cockeyed Fuzz, which is my little build of a vintage style fuzz face with germanium transistors. New old stock germanium transistors, if I might add. This particular one, sound-wise, was really hard to get. When you get this particular kit, and I believe it's the vintage Fuzzmaster one that I got, you get a set of test transistors to make sure that all your soldering is working properly, and you get the set of new old stock matched germanium transistors. Well, test transistors go in perfectly, everything sounds great. Go to swap them out for the germaniums, and for some reason those transistors just would not plug into the socket, and I was really scared of messing with those things, just knowing the age of them and the extra cost added on to this particular kit for those components. So I cut the legs, I tried to get them in, they just wouldn't go in. So I felt a little defeated. Put the test transistors back in, but I got the fuzz to sound pretty good, but it wasn't exactly what I was wanting the kit for. So about 2 or 3 months ago, I decided I was going to do something to try and get it to where I wanted it to be. I grabbed out those transistors, and sure enough, those germaniums went right in the socket, and ever since then, it has been a pretty fuzzy bliss, if I do say so myself. I'm going to dial back the volume a little bit, gun the gain, and we're going to go in front of a clean amp right now so you can hear what that sounds like. the sustain kind of gets choked off a little bit. It's very sputtery, farty, if you want to use that term, just kind of Velcro. But regardless of the fact that this may not sound great to you guys out there, it sounds great to me and is exactly what I was looking for. What you guys are hearing right now is my Big Daddy compressor. My take on a Ross, Dynacomp, you name it, any two-knob compressor from the past 40 years. This is basically what the kit seeks to emulate. A nice thank you to my lovely bride who gave that to me for my birthday as the first BYOC kit that I ever built, and I had a blast doing it. It was a lot of fun. The build was easy and it worked great right off the bat, yet for some reason, and just couldn't really explain what was happening, during the middle of a gig it stopped working. A pro player's worst absolute nightmare. A pedal stops working in the middle of a gig and making a ton of noise. So it sat for several years unfixed because I had really no idea about what to do. Well, in comes John from Oddfellow Effects giving me some advice and offering to fix it for me. So I went down to his shop, we sat down with it and realized it was mostly a grounding issue. And he helped me figure out all the problems with it. We did some rewiring. We took out some bad solder joints and resoldered. We put a bright blue LED in it, and this thing is a killer squishy two-knob compressor, if I do say so myself. Now, of course, what you know these kind of compressors to be famous for is the sort of country chicken picking kind of thing. And really, I mean, are country licks fun to play without a compressor? No, they're not. So you turn on a compressor and you just get a little something something extra. Lots of fun. For some reason, that little bit of boost, that little bit of squish from a compressor really makes those kind of lead lines pop out a little bit more. But lighter compression settings with a bit more output on it really do some wonders for some dirty sounds. So let's check that out with a slight crunchy sound for something a little bluesy. Now, kicking it on, we've got the output turned up all the way. We got the sustain turned to about 11 o'clock. Maintains a lot of the original goodness of your tone, just giving it a little something extra, because if you notice, I'm completely isolated from the speaker cab, so any of that sustain and feedback was created by the pedal. So if you're ever in an environment where you can't really get that gooey and like luscious sustain that we all love about guitar tone, a compressor can oftentimes get you there. Just be careful of the more extreme settings. So there you have it, the Big Daddy compressor. Well, there you have it, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this look at my favorite BYOC builds. I do have a couple others, this particular one being a clone of a Boss Slow Gear, and this being a clone of a Boss DS1, the made in Japan version, which of course everybody assumes is better. But for some reason, they don't work, and my knowledge of electronics is rudimentary at best, so if anybody out there has some troubleshooting tips or some tips on how I might be able to get these things to work properly, please let me know. I'm always willing to learn. One of these days I'll get down with a soldering iron and I'll figure out what's what, and hopefully these things will be ready to ride on any given gig. BYOC, it's a great concept. It's a lot of fun. All it takes is a little bit of knowledge on how to properly solder and a little bit of patience, and you will be rewarded. Hope you guys enjoyed this look. Stay tuned for next week's episode of Stompbox Saturday, and until then, happy stomping. Cheers, everybody.